like that.
All right. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Matthew. How are you on this fine Thursday?
I'm doing good. I can't believe it's almost September.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Nuts.
You're gonna have to help me along. I'm feeling a little bit of like an airhead today. So
Yeah. You know what? That proves my theory.
what's that?
I don't see any brains in there. I see it going right straight through the clouds.
You're
I was
funny.
right.
You're funny. Well, it is time for another week of weekly sessions, and we've got quite a few different questions to answer. We've got some new features to go through as well, and some other stuff also, right?
We do.
I'm going to get logged in on my other one here
Mhm.
so I can see comments and everything else from everybody as well. We've also, fingers crossed, we've put quite a bit of time in testing, trying to, I should say, into keeping the blur down as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Mhm.
So fingers crossed that we were successful with that.
Yeah.
We shall find out, of course. But what do you say? Shall we dive in and get started today?
Yeah, let's dive in and see what we got. I know we have some good questions.
Hang on.
There we
So
go.
the first one we've got today is going to be, we're actually going to come back around to this because I didn't get a chance to make sure I had the right connection, but we want to be able to go through and talk about how the PayPal connection works for the bank feeds. It was a specific request through our question form.
Mhm.
So there's two different ways to do this connection. So as we'll try to get to this right at the end. If not, what I will do for sure is make a video and put it into the group. Just because I want to make sure we show it the right way, but we wanted to draw attention to this at least first. So
I remember the days of PayPal, and it used to be the bane of my existence a long time ago.
yeah, and then another question we had on the forum was from good old Ernest, and he was actually asking us about the entire contractor process. So if you're setting up inside QuickBooks Online,
Mhm.
and you've got payroll inside QuickBooks Online, you can actually pay contractors through the actual program itself. And
Which is really cool. But is it like 50 cents a transaction, or is it $1 now? I don't even know.
it's a $4 a month charge. And then I think that covers the fee also for what it was, but we can
Oh,
double check it. It should show. In just a second here, we'll start a video that we can just kind of talk over as it's going through and playing.
mhm.
I will actually I haven't posted this video up yet, but we did a video where what I was trying to do is basically go through and display what it looks like, not only from the accountant or the business owner's perspective coming through,
Mhm.
so that it starts to play here, um, and the different steps. But then I also went and created a fake contractor with a different email address so we could see from that side as it would be pulled through as well.
Did you name the fake contractor Ernest? Because he's here in
I should have.
Facebook.
No, I didn't think of that.
Ditto.
I didn't spot. And it said, no slideshow. Okay, let's try that again. We're gonna do it the way I hate the most. See if it'll play better this way. Come on. Linda, I told you to get better internet speed.
All right, we won't tell that story about having me plug it in.
What's that?
But now my wires are cleaned. My wires. They said we won't tell the story of how you helped me with my internet and just have me plug it in.
Yeah, so, Super Mac over here. If you happen to have a modem in the same room as your computer, I would strongly suggest that you could very easily just wire your computer instead of trying to do the wireless.
Which I had wireless, and yeah.
Uh,
And then I know when I told you that, you went, Linda, 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 like that. I was like, uh-oh.
Well, Ernest, luckily I sent you the video already once ahead of time, but I will post that because it is just not actually popping up. I think it's too much bandwidth possibly for it. So we would I've got a video made on that and we'll put it into the group so people can see that as well. And again, it does go through the whole process of showing from our side as you set the whole thing up. And then I went, created the new email address, accepted it as a new contractor, set up my own self-employed account off of it. And then, go through the process to have it show back up on the account side what it looks like. So we'll get that into the group. So let's go old school. Let's try to just do it like this. Reading the question, we'll go into it. So hello, everyone. New to the group, I have been keeping books for my husband's construction company for several years now. In January, we switched to QuickBooks Online. I've had a few bumps in the road, but things were going great. I thought until recently. My reconciliation in July went well, but I'm doing something wrong with payments and have seemed to open a can of worms for our bank account. The more I've tried to fix it, the worse it gets. Is there any way to restore back to July reconciliation? So what do you think on this one?
Well, you have to have the right program, right? You have to have QuickBooks Online accountant to do it, or know somebody who has it, and maybe your accountant or whoever, or you can just sign up for the free Pro Advisor. And then once you sign up as a free Pro Advisor, you get the free account, and then you can undo bank rec, which the only other way, if you don't have that, is very painful because you have to go through every transaction and click. It's not fun.
Well, so I got a little bit of a way that you can kind of fudge that one even.
Okay.
So
A hack.
yeah, kind of. So the key to it, of course, is if what you're talking about is just being able to undo a reconciliation so you can redo it, then what Linda's talking about is exactly right. By having the accountant's tool with QuickBooks Online Accountant, you can come in, you can go history by account, find one that has reconciliations in it. Perfect. And then if I wanted to undo this reconciliation, I can come in, click, and go undo.
Right.
Now, if I undo this right now, am I going to mess up anything we need later?
Which one are you doing? Is it checking? Yeah, don't do the checking one.
So you
do a different one.
And then it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to undo it? And then you would undo it and you'd be able to go through.
If you pick Casey's checking, if you pick Casey's checking, you'll be able to undo that one. Because I didn't do anything with that one.
It doesn't reconcile it either.
It's not reconciled. Casey is checking or credit card. Those are the only two I don't want you to touch. I don't know if any of the other ones are. Bank of America, I think that's reconciled.
As a reminder, okay, so what I should be doing if I'm going to be smart, I'm going to come back up here, go to my report options, so I can see which ones have been reconciled.
There you go. I love that box. That box is golden when you're trying to show a client how far you're along and where you're missing things. It's a great box.
So I came in, now I can come back here, and this is the credit card one. So if I came to this, I can come in and do undo. It's going to say, are you sure you want to? Tells you the previous balance amount, and you can go from there. Now, one thing that I always recommend, we've kind of talked about this in the past, is let's say you had to go back further, right? If you open up the whole list, screenshot this information, because the ending balances, which based on the assumption you went off the statement when you did that, you would have the dates and the ending balances all right there. So if everything was all good, but you just need to fix one little thing in one of the months, and it's OCD is making you go back and do this, you can go back and do the re-recs a lot faster because you know the amounts. You don't have to go find the statements and do all that stuff again.
And if you're doing this for a client or somebody like calls you up and they say, hey, can you undo my bank rec? I messed it up. And you just make sure you like show them what it's going to be, screenshot it, say that, you're not responsible if you help them and undo it, because you want to make sure they understand undoing. Because I've had people ask me to undo it, and then I'll say, okay, if I undo it, the new balance is going to be X. And I'm like, well, that's not the balance I'm looking for. And then I'm like, well, then, then you have another problem. What would it be the next month? And I'm like, okay, here's the balance the next month. And then, you just don't want to, you just want to document the heck out of the whole scenario.
Yep. So now if we are in our banking area, which Anybody else notice my banking is not on the side? It must be in a different setup. I don't know. What I was going to suggest is another option. I mean, it's still not as, this was for one specific account, right?
Mhm.
You could actually do is if you needed to remove stuff that was in there for a specific period of time, if you come into here for categorized
Right,
and you can filter by dates, right?
correct.
You could choose a date range. We'll go, um, I'm just going to go and choose all of them except for the last one, right?
Mhm.
You could basically check all of them off by using the box for the ones you can
Mhm.
see and then undo.
Oh, that's your hack.
Yep.
If it's all, if it's all stuff you did bank feed wise, yes, that would definitely work. But that's a cool hack. Yeah, if you don't have it, that works. I'll
Correct.
remember that one when somebody
Well,
asked me to do it.
keep in mind also, if it's not stuff that was not, if it was stuff that was not done the bank feed, like you had gone in and you put invoices in, everything
Yeah,
else, now when you pull them back to the bank feed, it's going to try to give you matches,
right.
which could be part of the issue that if it's like that double dipping on
Mhm.
stuff. So um that's everything just got fuzzy. Okay. So that could be one way to go about it, of course. Um, so either reconciliation or the other was kind of our thought between the two.
Mhm.
And let's go. So we'll come back here now. And next one.
Erica says you could also have your account backed up by Rewind and then go back to things that were good. Just a suggestion. I have not used Rewind, but I've heard wonderful things about it. I've been using the one that comes with QuickBooks because it comes with all the advanced files, but I know Rewind's got lots of more benefits. It's only like $5 for us too, right? A month?
Yeah, it's the pricing is great on it. Now the only question I have with it is both Chronobooks back in the day and Rewind, what they do is they don't like obliterate, delete something. What they do is they inactivate things in a sense.
Mhm.
So I would have to check how that would lay out. Like for reporting wise, it should be fine, but audit log and having concerns that things might still be in there would be an
Mhm.
issue. But it is a good suggestion and it definitely is a possibility.
Yeah,
So
and I know that things in Rewind too, I think you can select certain transactions that you want to recover and, it's got a lot of, to rewind back to or even bring forward. So it's got a lot of benefit to it.
yeah, so I'm seeing in Facebook, it appears the QBO is where a lot of the fuzziness is, um, which we talked to, like Linda and I were talking about. I think part of it's because it's smaller sizing.
Smaller
Um,
print. And then if we make the
well,
print too big, you can't see.
why don't we do this? I'm going to jump ahead real quick, and one of the new features I was going to be showing anyways is the new dark uh,
Yeah, that makes it worse, I think, doesn't it?
themes. Well, it's
Dark mode. Where did you get that? Yeah, see, that makes it.
so this is a newer feature we'll get to, and we'll talk a little bit more in a second, where basically you've got different themes. You can go into your QuickBooks Labs,
Oh, it's a
and
lapse.
under the labs, you can turn on themes, and it'll
Mhm.
give you a dark mode. So now if I go back to like my dashboard, let us know if it seems like it gets any better, but we'll continue back on, but at least we can have it
It
here.
is tiny print though. I mean, it's just QuickBooks, right? It doesn't have, that's the one thing people complained a lot about was they can't see it when you get people moving off of desktop to online. They're like, I can't see it. It's why they make the letters gray and it is hard to see.
So, Linda, I'm going to be expensing a new monitor soon. Just kidding. So, yeah, let us know if that makes it. Nope, not any better.
Nope. But
I've
you
gone
can
to
read this page,
forums,
right?
I've gone
This
to
page,
everything trying to ask.
this page is easy.
Okay. So here we go. I have a client who does not want to keep receipts at all. He feels since he has his biz account set up, all the transaction history is presented there with receipts, and receipts are not needed, basically. At this point, not asking for general opinions, but those who have been in an audit for themselves or represented a client, is the bank feed sufficient evidence? If not, is there a method to order the receipts using the bank feed info for each transaction in question? This is more of a tracing question. Thank you. What do
Have
you
you
say?
ever been in an audit?
Happy to say no.
Okay, I've been in many. And sales tax audits, Department of whatever in Rhode Island, the tax, payroll tax audits, different audits. And I can tell you that if you don't have the receipts, they don't give you they won't
Right.
give you the expense. So no ticky, no shirty. And I had a client that I worked with that had a bunch of expenses at like a local vehicle dealership where he would go bring these trucks. He had older trucks. He had them fixed to like the tune of $10,000. They could not get the receipts. The company had closed. There was no way to reach the people. And the IRS said, there you go. They don't count. So
That's a good point for like Seth's course, bulletproof bookkeeping. Right.
exactly. Yep.
All right. Now the words on this are just blurry anyways. So I have a client that deleted a transfer after the credit card account was reconciled. So the beginning balance is off. I searched the audit log and I do not see it anywhere. So I do not know the actual date the transaction was created or what month it was even reconciled to. She also cannot recall. Any tips on what to do? So my first thing on this is anytime that you are going in and you actually, if you delete a transaction that's been pulled through the bank feed, it goes back to the banking area first. So it doesn't disappear from the actual program. It
Mhm.
would first go into this basic window, pending again.
Mhm. Oh, I don't like that page at all. Ugh, that's awful. Please put it back.
Okay.
Tina likes it, but I'm going to say I vote down for
All right,
dark
everybody
mode.
tell us what you think. What do you like? Dark mode or light mode?
Do
We
you
got
like the dark mode? That looked awful on the banking page, I have to say.
How come we can't do our own colors yet?
Says the guy who can't see
Can't
colors.
see colors. Exactly. It's all gray to me. Uh, so when you delete a transaction, it would literally just come right back into this window and still be sitting here. Now, one possibility is if you had a rule set up with it and the rule was set to auto add,
Yeah.
this was supposed to have been fixed. We talked about this a couple of times back, right? But if it was set to auto add, it could actually be deleted and then stuck right back into the books again, which would mean it'd be hard to find it.
Dan DeLong said Darth Vader likes the dark mode. But so far it's a dark mode. Dark mode is not winning.
Okay. They do need a colorblind mode, right?
They should.
I mean, why not? So, so that would be one area, one way to do it, right, Linda? The other would be if it was an opening balance transaction, you would check your opening balance equity account. It could be that that actually now has a balance pending inside of it because that was deleted.
Mhm.
I would check there as well. What else to show?
So this is the one where the transfer was deleted. Is that the question we're
Yeah.
on? Okay. So if you go into the credit card, so go into reconcile the credit card.
To reconcile the credit card?
Yeah, reconcile the one that's called just credit card.
Oh, there it is. Credit card.
Okay. If somebody deleted something, so you can go in there.
So we've got this right off the bat, beginning balance is off. We can say, we can help you fix it, right?
Right.
So theoretically, this would pop up
Mhm.
and you would see that there's a difference here, right? So
Right. You can see something was deleted. Yeah.
and it's not expanding. Okay. So here you can see.
I think if you go show, did you hit show all? Usually
I
shows you the
didn't even do
changes.
that. You're right. Did the was compare here before?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
But you can see that I deleted it basically, and you can see what I deleted. So you can see I deleted a credit card payment.
Yeah, but so here, what you'd have to do is you'd have to go to the next one down. You would
Mhm.
find the transfer, the date, the amount, right? Now, in this scenario, is this one where you added it, right? It wasn't through a bank fee, is that correct?
No, it wasn't through a bank feed. I added it. Mhm.
Because the bank fee again would show it come through.
Right. It
So
would show it back there. Yeah.
Correct. So this basically, because it was reconciled, it was pulled in and reconciled. That's why when we went to the reconciliation area, it's then telling us that we have something that's off. Um, and then how would you fix that? What would you do?
I would just see that what was deleted and reinstate it, because obviously the credit card and the bank account are going to be off because I deleted both sides. Now, I had a client this week who called up and had the same scenario, and he had it in twice. So he used the bank feed and had put it in twice. He put it on the bank side, then he put it on the credit card side. So he had multiple transactions. And what he did was he reconciled one transaction on the bank side and one transaction on the credit card side. So when he removed one, it kept throwing everything off, and he was overstated in both accounts. So one account and then the other. So there is a credit card payment feature in the gear now that you can pay a credit card. I just recommend reconcile the credit card, make the payment. It'll clear probably the credit card side first, and then it will clear the bank side. Now, Deanna said that when she had, this is her question, when she clicked that detail we showed didn't show for her. So she thinks it's maybe a user permission that allows to see when you clicked on the link to see what was deleted and you did the show all. She couldn't get to that screen. So she,
Good point. Yeah,
Mhm.
that could be, sounds like not using QuickBooks Online Accountant also, right?
I thought anybody could see, but maybe not. I don't know. But again, this is, if she's looking at this and she can't even get to that screen, how's she going to know other than the audit log? But if she could access the audit log, which is kind of strange that she couldn't open that part up,
Your
and
icon,
not
audit
see
log. It could be the new business view, something like that, of course.
yeah, I wonder if it was the
Is maybe
business view, because the business view doesn't allow for like journal entries and yeah. So,
so
but you
like
can see what I did there. And if you go in there, you can see that I deleted the payment, and you can open it up to see the payment and what I deleted. Because the issue she has is it's a past, prior year, prior period transaction. So now you have to find out what did the tax professional use to create the tax return? Did it happen before or after the payment was deleted? Now you have a whole nother issue of how you have to date it. If it was just
yeah,
a
I
cash
mean,
basis and it's just asset to liability, then it won't really probably matter. But
well, so the next thing you would do from that situation, right, is you'd actually go pull up a balance sheet,
yeah,
assuming that you got access to the prior year tax
the
return.
tax return, right?
Pull up the balance sheet
And
and
just
see
see
what's
the
different,
balance.
and that's going
Yeah,
to help
look at
you zone in on the
mhm.
account, and then you can go to, look at figure out the date range of when it was basically. Of course, that means she'd have to know which year exactly it was done in.
So you're right about that, because she said she was in her company, but she couldn't add her to her QuickBooks Online accountant. So it might be an accountant feature. That is how you can get into that audit log. I didn't think so. I thought if you were an admin, but maybe she didn't log in as an admin.
Yeah, if you have limited controls as a user, you wouldn't have access to some of that stuff. You probably wouldn't. That definitely could cause it.
Mhm.
And they should be able to add you as an accountant, unless it's a situation like there's two positions.
And
So
used, yeah.
anybody who runs into that, honestly, it's one of the things you really almost you have to demand it. If they're not going to do it, you have to tell them, look, I can't do my job without the right tools. So you have to do this. We need to have this access. Um, we've never really had much of an issue with it when we really put our foot down on that side.
Have you had it happen? No, I've had it happen where you ask for access and you specifically spell out what you are asking for, and then they just go in and they don't notice the second tab. So they invite you as company admin or whatever. And I'm like, no, I need my tools. I need my tools. So please invite me as an accountant. I won't even start working in it unless I'm an accountant user. It has to be a
Yeah,
really good reason if the other seat is gone. And
passively resistant.
Greg says it's confusing with the bill payment thing. I agree. Don't make a bill. Just make a payment, pay the credit card. The credit card payment thing, that feature,
Yeah, I don't even do that. I put everything in, like, we don't do transfers as transfers. We've talked
I
about it
know.
before. We do everything transfer goes into a clearing account, and then from the clearing account to the other account to where everything zeroes out every time. You can always catch if there's any like distribution or investment, that it's just super clean and easy that way. That gives
Mhm.
us the ability to put names on them also. And then most important is thank you for the tip on the colorblind Google Chrome plugin. Thank you very much. Um,
Also, if in Deanna's account, if the person who did the tax return or the bookkeeper that was on file, in charge of the file, had actually locked out the period once they knew the tax return was done, then that person, if they did try to delete it, wouldn't be able to delete that transaction in the prior period. So use those tools to close a period that's closed.
That's a good point. And so again, you're talking, actually come up here, close books,
Mm-hmm.
accountant's tools, brings you in, choose. And then you can do a closing date. You can do a password. Now, if I remember correctly, didn't you teach me how to break this too?
I did teach you how to break it. Yes.
So we're not going to show you guys though, because we don't want somebody else to learn it, but you can hit Linda up through private message and she'll save the world and help you.
I'll tell you. Yeah, right.
So close books. I mean, it's a pretty important thing. So, all right, next question.
Back to the audit trail.
Okay, a few more questions about audit log. I tell you what, the audit log is something you really should get pretty comfortable with.
Yes.
We've had a client in the past that she'd get upset anytime her item list would change, or like a chart of accounts would change, and she would, reach out and be like, "Who changed my items? Somebody changed my items. They changed this." And I'd be like, "Let me go look. Let me go look. Go take a look at it." And she's all, "Who was it?" "She who shall not be named." Is what
I've had that happen so many times. Like, why are you doing this? Why is your team doing this? And then I go in the transaction. I'm like,
yeah,
here's your name. You did it. I did. Yes, you did it. Oh, okay.
I mean, it's important for training as well. Like,
Yeah.
we need to know, even if it was between me and my business partner, Mike, maybe there's a reason something was done a certain way. So if it seems wrong, by going to look at it, you can at least, if you trust that person's capabilities, ask why first to be safe.
I know with Sarah and I, when we ever do anything like that, we just put a boatload of notes, because I'll tell you what, 5 years from now, I might not remember when I did something. So we are like crazy note takers. And when we train our clients, we train them the same way with a lot of notes.
Yeah, you do your books like you need to. You're going to have to explain them in 5 years. That's a great way to look at it. All right. So does it record the merging of or renaming vendors, customers, or chart of accounts? Does it record deleted? Is all accountant QBO activity recorded in audit log? Well, let's go take a look at that, right?
I did it all. I merged, I deleted, I did it all. Chart of accounts,
here,
vendor, customer.
This way. And so now we've got a whole bunch of stuff that Linda was doing earlier. So she added a transfer, we could see, reconciled the credit card, deleted the transfer. We just talked about all that stuff. Now edit the vendor, which is great. Merged vendor, this and the name. Nice, old name and ACE. I swear, you know what? I'm gonna go talk to that gardener and tell him to stop coming this time of year, time of week. Anyways, edit customer, merge account, edit account. So yeah, and it's showing. One of the nice things here as well is when we're seeing this, Linda is in under my accounting firm to have access like this, but we're still able to see that it was Linda that did it.
Right.
And I'm stressing that part because one of the things that I have seen is like when you do reconciliations, it'll say like indirectly done by such and such. And it seems like whoever's the primary in the account, it would show up with that otherwise. Or was that?
And the one thing too about the audit log, if you are working in QuickBooks Online Accountant and you have the team, it says my name there. If you are the client looking at it, they're going to see Parkway Business Solutions, whatever. It's not going to show Linda Artisani. They won't know who I am in the file. I'm an employee of Parkway. Which
is great, right? I mean, that really is the way it should be done. So filtering, lots of stuff you can filter through, different types of transactions, all kinds of stuff. And then if you need to grab a copy of this, what I always recommend to do, go to as big as you can. You need to make sure it like sizes correctly the way you want. And then if you click on, this is my favorite print type trick. You click print just where you get it to pull up this way, hit cancel, click into the screen, Control A, grabs everything, Control C, copies everything.
You put it in Excel?
Go to Excel.
Greg wanted to know if it did everything. I was surprised. It showed everything that I did. I deleted and I merged and it did show everything.
Yep. So I just did Control V to drop it in. I'm going to undo my wrap text, and because I'm OCD, boom.
Okay, we're still seeing the other screen where the document is, but yeah.
Ah, dang it.
Ah,
Keep forgetting that. Yeah. So then if you saw Excel, but I've got it trained onto the other one, you would actually see it all pulled in to
which is a
Excel.
great tip, because if you're trying to find something, so like Deanna was trying to find something, and you filter the audit log by date too? So if she was looking around
Yes.
the date of when that may have happened, like she could filter it from December 9, 2019 to today if it got changed.
Yeah. And so like this is all the transactions that I had right then and there. So you can grab, pull them in, that kind of thing. So
And it should show it. I mean, Greg's asking because does it show everything in the post? It did. It shows every single one of those things that I did. And I did individual things. So it shows that I merged a vendor, it showed that I renamed a vendor. So they were all individual line items. So it does show all that stuff.
yeah. So come back here.
Which is super cool.
Yeah. And now you have your filtering and stuff that you can do here. If you've run into, the nice thing with filtering this way is it'll go more than just one page. You can always do the Control F if you need to find something.
Yes.
An amount. If you know it's a certain amount, like you could do, start typing in an amount, or so I'll do like 1153, right? Will help me get right to that really fast using the Control F function.
Right. And some of the columns are, I think that all the columns you can sort by too, right? You can sort by the top of the headers.
Yes.
And also under the filter, if you specifically know something's deleted, I think you can check off like deleted stuff. Right.
So you could do transactions, all transactions, deleted, voided transactions, using for an account.
Yep. So we'll show you what's been deleted.
So actually, that's actually a great way to kind of go back and try to see if you can find that other missing one.
It's a great filter. Yes.
Yeah.
I've used that one many times because remember we used to have a voided and deleted report. I don't know if that was desktop or not, but
no, they still have it. They've got it here too. Actually, so again, we're bounced all over the place, but we're actually just giving many ways to answer this one real question since we
well, it's kind of two questions too, because we stole one from Michelle and Hector because that was a great segue to this, the question we had. But yeah, is there a voided and deleted report?
I know there is.
There used to be. Type it in the search. Right there. See the search bar on the top?
Voided, deleted transactions.
That's it. Yeah. So Deanna could try that.
And that would pull up that report.
Same thing, but
you have to have the account version. So.
Yeah, that's right. So she wouldn't be able to do it. Okay.
And back. So, yep, it does all that stuff pretty well.
Well, she wanted to know if the master admin could manipulate the data in the audit log. I don't think anybody can manipulate the data in the audit log. That's the beauty of the audit log. You've tried? Okay, that's a hack that didn't go well.
Nope, didn't work. The only thing you can do is export all of the data to like a QuickBooks desktop file.
We don't need to know how to hack something.
The IRS coming to my place would be great. Okay, so how do you organize your passwords? Staff members have access to which passwords? So for us, it's LastPass.
LastPass. Me too.
Every single time.
Well, it works with our team too, so we can share them. They can't see the passwords, but we can share them, so it's great. But there's plenty of other options out there.
Yeah, the thing I like about LastPass is the sharing capabilities, because I did go through and look at probably about 3 months ago, about 6 or 7 different ones, trying to see if there were better ones to move on to.
Jen says it's QuickBooks, not cookbooks.
Actually, it's cookyourbooks.com.
Yourbooks.com, right?
Cookyourbooks.com. Go ahead and pull that URL up. So with LastPass, I like the sharing capability with our backend support team with analytics. We've got it set up to where we have our client logins, everything else. We can share the ability for them to use the username and password to log into a bank, but they don't get to see the password. Right. Then manage and maintain that stuff internally. And then with multi-factor authentication, we have it set up with a phone number that goes through our phone system dial pad, where we security text, which also gets routed to Slack in case they have to get it that way, or to an email. so we can really control all of that information. And then another tip, which we have like kind of suggested for people, is if you have security questions like what's your mother's last name,
Mhm.
set up like fake answers and use those, because that way if you have an outsourced team like we do, we don't want to give away those real answers, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so you could do something such as trying the second to last word in whatever the question is. If you do something like that as a system, then people will know it that need to know it, and you can navigate through this multi-factor authentication world.
That's a great tip because like you said, you're giving the information that people need to steal your identity when you answer all those where were you married and what street did you live on when you grew up as a kid? What's your first pet? So if you could, my daughter, I forgot what her answers were. She's got some really great answers for
Please
the question.
tell us all
No,
about
I'm not going to tell you her answers, but she's got some really funny ones and she knows them. So she sees them. She knows that those are the ones that's what she has for the banking. So it's pretty good.
it. All right, so this next one is gonna work. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. I made a bank deposit from account A back into account A when it should have gone into account B. I'm trying to reconcile the bank statement with QuickBooks, showing the deposit from A into A so I can check it off and reissue, but it will not allow me to use the same financial account on the deposit form.
Well, you shouldn't be taking, that's like taking money out of a checkbook that you have and putting it back into the same checkbook. Why would you do that? So I already shared with you that I had somebody that's done that and that works for me.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing here? It goes in, it goes out. So it's really irrelevant.
Void that transaction.
Yeah.
Go do some research and then jump back in and do a proper transfer.
Yeah. And don't use transfers.
Exactly right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, new one. We have been using QuickBooks Online for years, but with some big changes in the company, we need to go to a job costing model. Can we do this with QuickBooks Online? Yeah, like starting from a brand new company, or must we switch to different QuickBooks? Interesting. So obviously, we've got projects, which I could talk forever about, is perfect for doing the job costing, but there's other pieces that have to come into play with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Well, you have a great projects course too, right? That if anybody wants to learn about projects, Matthew has a great course. We probably put a link to that into the question.
Which has got some pretty cool stuff. Even I figured out a way that you can do with the progress invoicing, still do time and material bids with progress invoicing, have it still turn out correctly, which is
and brand new company. Is it a brand new company, new FEIN? Then you need a new whole file, basically. And there's it's projects. If you want to use projects, and you have to be very detailed about it, you have to follow all the rules because it's very particular. There's also Notify, so another app that's great for construction. That's really a wonderful app that we highly recommend. We know the people behind the app, they're fabulous people and they really care about their products. So definitely if you're working with construction firms, check out Notify.
Yeah, they've got some pretty cool features. You can even apply for your different permits.
Permits right through it. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Okay, so next one here. My boss wants to know how much he spent this year so far with subcontractors. Where would I go to generate such a report? Also, can a report be generated by an individual subcontractor as well? Thank you in advance, yes. So if we go back here.
Making me think of workers' comp audits. Or even just insurance audits too.
You know what's funny is, like, I guess it's a season of them, because I just had back to back audits. But now, knock on wood, it's been quiet again. So,
well, we have an audit right now with it's actually a vehicle audit for the auto insurance policy. And of course, I've already had phone calls like, how do I do that? It didn't happen when I was with you, but I thought of you.
Be nice. Okay.
Be nice.
So, you made
Yeah.
this specific one, right?
Basically, and I had to use all dates only because the file had older data
It's all
in it,
fake
but
data. Yeah.
profit and loss report. And then I took that and I put the profit and loss report and I pulled subcontractors. So the line item for subcontractors, blew it open. And then from there, I grouped it by the name, vendor name. So that way it would subtotal it. I mean, totaled it by the vendor name.
So you're saying you went kind of like this, right?
Yep.
Came in,
Found the line for
subcontractor,
subcontractors.
correct?
And then, yep. And then went over to the
Group
group
by
by.
name.
Mhm.
That's basically what you did.
Mhm.
Okay. Now there's also, of course, if you come into here under reports,
There's a subcontractor report, but a long time ago there wasn't one, so that's how I've done it in the past.
you could do an expense by vendor report also, would be
Uh-huh.
another way to do it. So if you 1099 contractor balance. Now the key thing is though, the 1099 report like this will only populate if you are actually clicking off the little checkbox for 1099.
Right.
And
That's why I like my report.
correct. And the other thing is if you're using T-Sheets for payroll and QuickBooks Online for payroll, it
Mhm.
likes to pull in anybody you have as the checkbox for 1099. It wants to pull those vendors in and have them there as if they're people that could be tracking time. So that's another kind of a side thing you have to kind of address.
I mean, if he wants to see how much he's paid subcontractors, this is a good report. And like you said, vendor, so you can pull this up to see who the vendors are. Then you can pull reports on the vendors to, give it to the client.
Correct. Yeah. We also we would try to do like an expense by vendor because I believe that one lets you do a filter by amount also.
Mhm.
That way you could do above, $600 would be the thought process there also.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Sunny Wilcox wants to know again why we don't like to use transfers. She missed that part.
So for me, for transfers, what it is when you go to try to do reconciliation, if you try to pull up reports, it's too easy to have somebody who goes into the bank feeds and they click a transfer from one. And if it's done right, it says transfer from this account to this account. What should happen then is if you go to the other account, which also is a bank feed connected, it should show match and you'd be able to match it. But if somebody's not paying attention, you can actually double it up and add it twice or have it go back and forth. So what we do instead is whenever we have these type of transactions happening, we would take and create, I'm sure I'll have something in here I can do with. We would basically take one of the amounts and have it go from whatever account it's being deposited into, let's say, and then it goes into a clearing account. So actually I should be able to show it that way. I'm sure I'll have a clearing under my chart accounts.
I know for me, I educate, if I have a client that does their own bank feed downloading, some of them want to do it. They want to be hands-on. I tell them never use a transfer because a lot of times they get really lazy and QuickBooks automatically says uncategorized asset. And then once it's reconciled, if it's not picked up, you now have to undo the reconciliation. I mean, you can re-reconcile it, but it looks terrible. Yeah. And then it's a big job to fix it. So if you tell them not to ever do it, and I actually rename the uncategorized asset account, uncategorized asset dash do not use. So they see that if they're doing the bank feed stuff.
So this is like a normal transfer. I'm going to actually go in. I'm going to go delete this.
See, Lynn Ripley said she tells them never to accept transfers too. So it's just because it's always a place that causes mistakes, right?
And exactly. So this way makes it to where you can catch it much.
Yeah, and it's not forgiving, but this is, if you do the other way, it's forgiving. It's the same thing, but it's more forgiving, basically.
Should have paid attention to what account that was. Gosh darn it. Of course I did that. So by doing a transfer, actually auto payment's a perfect example, right? So this is going to pay payment came in against the credit card. We would set this up and we would say, for a credit card payment, we would say payment chase or whatever inside of it. If it was from a checking or something else, we would go transfer from, and I'll say 1123. And then here, this would go clearing. And then if we know it's so 16603, right? If I go add 16603, I'm going to cheat because I don't have the bank feed to show both sides. I'm going to come to my clearing account, go to the register, and just pretend this is another transfer that's happening. I can basically go and now add another action in. This one would be it's going to be a money in basically. So deposit, this would be, this would be going out. So transfer to, and just add that. It will go.
And Lynn says she likes to set up the payment when she reconciles the credit card account. I agree. It's a cleaner way, and it just keeps the records nice and tidy. So.
All right. So this one we would go to, I'm going to say it's to checking actually. So if we go boom, and it was 16603.82, save. So the reason to do it this way is you'll literally see in and out of the clearing account every month. You close this down, it would be money in, money out every single time.
Should always be zero.
Exactly. And if it's not, and we saw this, what would happen is actually I just recently had this week. We then know we need to ask our client, hey, what is this money from? Why is this payment, like, why is this credit card being paid? Is this a personal card? Is it a business card? I literally had a client we've been asking this stuff to over and over and over again, through the last year and a half. And all of a sudden, magically, this time, for some reason, when we're going through, if it's a payment to a personal account, that gets moved out into distributions for the owner, basically. Well, they didn't like the fact they had all these distributions. So all of a sudden, magically, they looked and there was apparently a business credit card nobody told us about for all this time. And we catch that because we see these different transfers happening by looking at those details. Or if they invested money into the business, same kind of concept.
Right.
So I hope that kind of helps explain a little bit better, Sunny.
Yep. And then Greg wants to know, how do you put the vendor of transfer? How can you put the vendor of transfer to 1123 if you're not sure if it's going to 1123? Well, that's the whole thing, that you want it to be in there. Though I do the same thing with the vendor name, so I can track, especially those are the people usually have a lot of bank accounts and things. So I use that same thing because then I can run a report on it. If something's not right, I can look for the amount or whatever and make sure I've done the right way.
Well, so the reason the way we would normally do it is 99% of the time, the bank memo will actually say online transfer from blah, 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 and it'll XXXXX, and then it'll have 4421 or whatever. So we look at that, and I would then put in as a vendor name, and I always do them all as vendors. Even if the to or from, it's always vendors in the display name, so it doesn't show up on my customer list. It doesn't get that all muddied up. That makes it to where we have the name the way we need. So if we have to go through and we're doing a review, especially like reclassified transactions, come in and we're looking at our balance sheet. When we're looking at this stuff and we go to clearing, because we can organize it all however we need inside of here.
Right.
Boom, boom. Oh, come on. We can see it all. We can run reports the way we want to be able to group them by names. Forget it. You would be able to group it by name and see where these different amounts came from. And again, this person I was just talking about, this is part of what helped me once again find it for them, was I grouped it by all of these different transfers. It happened to be somebody who was a profit first person. So
that means multiple bank accounts.
Yeah, I mean, this really helps in that kind of environment where it's just back and forth and everything just zeroes out very nicely.
I had a couple of clients like that. I was like, oh God, and they never followed through with it. They started out after reading the book all excited, and then they just didn't follow through with it the way
it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. All right. Well, we are getting close to time. We're actually a little bit over. So we already kind of showed you the QuickBooks themes. You can go light and dark mode. It's been basically everybody says forget the dark mode, basically.
Well, as you get older, you can't really see it that well. And I like dark mode on some things. I think who said it, but they liked it on Teams. Oh, did you announce who won Teams? Because we never did announce that. Who won Teams? Who won Slack versus Teams? Yeah, we didn't get to announce it, so I wanted you to know that. Yeah.
We'd have to double check. I mean, Seth Seth actually taught me some really, really cool stuff. that I
Yeah,
didn't
actually,
expect.
both of you did. So it was really fascinating. Although now I'm setting up my Microsoft Teams and all that. And then you told me, and one of the things that's really cool is you can get Microsoft to help you do it. So
Yes. Their technical support is actually pretty good. So the video that's playing in the background is a quick video I will post as well, showing how the new QuickBooks tags
so
work.
tags are not automatic, right? You have to actually go into the
Go
labs
to
to get
QuickBooks
it.
Lab. Yep.
Be careful with tags. That's all
Yes.
I'm going to say this week. We can dive into tags a little bit more, but
Yeah.
tags can be like the kid in a candy store kind of scenario.
The challenge that I foresee with them right now is there's no easy way to clean them up. So when you get tag happy people, somebody's going to have to go back in to try to clean up what tag goes to what. They do have like the ability to kind of batch edit them in this part of the program somewhat, but it's just going to be more cleanup work for you.
So
So
Laura Gogo asks, is it possible to do a test client in a QBO account without paying anything? Just wondering. If you're going to play around in a test, just sign up for the free trial and use that. Don't bother to do it because then you're going to have that floating around everywhere.
yes, the other option would be is if you happen to have multiple people that are working with you, if you're working together and you both have your own QBOA, you could elect to have one of them as a testing ground, and use one for the firm, right? So
Yep. I have a test, I have an advanced file, so I pay for it, but I use it for that purpose. If we're trying to figure something out, we go in there and use it.
yeah,
So next week, Matthew's going to eat a sunflower head.
we're not at 25 yet, but
Where's Stacy Byrne?
yeah. If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, go check out my profile. And because
Did
I've
you
been
take the
posting,
bit.ly off of it?
what's that?
The bit.ly's on the top, I thought. I left a bit.ly on, or at the bottom, it's underneath the words. So in the slide, you'll have the bit.ly that says Matthew eats sunflower or whatever, and then
Yes.
you can sign and just say, yes, they are him.
Super important. If
Yes.
you haven't done your recertification, you are T-minus 4 days, 3.5 days.
Yeah.
Right? So
Ernest is like, vote now.
thanks, Ernest.
He wants to see you eat a sunflower too.
Oh, and then there was supposed to be one more, which was hidden.
Yeah, the sunflower video was really, really interesting too. There you go. Squirrel of the week. That's on Sunday.
Sunday. So on Sundays, Seth and we are going to do a quick squirrel of the week. They're always going to be kind of a quick little video. It's going to be just through Facebook Live, for us to kind of jump into something that squirreled us off, talk about it, share some knowledge off of it, and go forward from there. So
I love that both your squirrels have their mouth open at the same time. It's cute. It's a good show. Last week you talked about Dialpad. So
Dialpad.
it was
it's cool. You know, there's always something that's going to be able to squirrel us all the time.
Oh yeah, and I mean it was nice and short. It was like 15 minutes, and it was in and out, and yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Well, on that note, any last thing you wish to mention?
I don't think so. Just everybody, if you haven't recertified, it's really, 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 really important that you do it before the 31st, or you're going to have to take the whole big test over again, and you don't want to do that. You really, really don't want to do that. Take the
Linda's
shorter
available
test.
on Saturday to help you go through all that stuff.
No, I'm not available this Saturday. Remember, I was away, so I'm digging my way out. Matthew will save the world for you. You can contact him through Facebook Messenger. Don't call me to find him.
If people are still trying to do it, reach out as quick as you can. I would be happy to put together a group session where to review information. I'm not saying take the test or any of that, but we can discuss part of it. I'd be happy to help all of our members with that, of course. So on that note, here's wishing you all a very successful week.
Bye now.
Smile.